Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Quick Break Games, and today we're going to be ranking the top 5 best LEGO Batman levels of all time before the release of LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. This ranking is only considering levels from the 4 mainline LEGO Batman or LEGO DC games that we have so far, so in other words, LEGO Batman 1 through 3 and LEGO DC Supervillains. I'm also ignoring the various handheld versions of these games just to keep things simple, but I could rank those separately in the future if that's something people are interested in. Now, I tried to include levels across all 4 games here to ensure there's plenty of variety, but without wasting any more time, let's get into the top 5 LEGO Batman levels. In the number 5 spot, we have Steppenwolf's Surprise from 2018's LEGO DC Supervillains. This is the second to last level within the main story of DC Villains, and the opening cutscene of this one is pretty cool. You have the heroes and villains all teaming up against Steppenwolf as he hunts for the anti-life equation. But our heroes end up retreating inside Wayne Tower where the level begins. It starts out in this elevator shaft where you need to use both the Rookie and Deathstroke's different abilities to escape into this central lobby within Wayne Tower. You then team up with a few more characters to solve some puzzles in here while being attacked by parademons. I like how Bruce Wayne left little hints of Batman hidden in here, like the Batman logo behind this see-through wall. But once you clean up the lobby, parademons come rushing in to steal the Rookie. This is where the second section of the level begins, with Batman and Catwoman teaming up to chase Steppenwolf on top of a train. Now this part is pretty cool as you're on a moving train, Steppenwolf's firing laser beams at you, and it's all very chaotic. You just have to keep pushing towards the front of the train while timing your jumps to avoid his lasers. This leads to a section where you get to fight Steppenwolf and his dogs inside the train. I like how you need to build bones, which distracts his dogs. And once you get to do that, you face Steppenwolf head on, and his attacks are pretty powerful. This part is kind of crazy considering 2 characters without superpowers, Batman and Catwoman, are going up against a superpowered being like Steppenwolf. But anyways, there's then a final phase where Batman calls in the Batwing, which you can take control of, where you just keep shooting at him until his health depletes and the level ends. Now overall, this is just a really fun level. I like how it starts off with a more puzzle-based section in Wayne Tower with the elevator, and then the lobby, and then it goes into a full boss fight on top of a train with the moving background and everything. I also like how this level doesn't have any areas with a generic circle or semicircle layout like many levels from this game have. And also in story mode, there's a pretty wide variety of characters you get to use in this one, mainly in the Wayne Tower lobby section. And by the way, this isn't specifically related to this ranking, but why can't you replay story mode in LEGO DC Supervillains? It forces you into free play whenever you replay a level, which is just a bit weird. But anyway, this is a great DC Supervillains level, with Batman and Catwoman being a big focus, which is why I'm putting this at the number 5 spot. Alright, at number 4 we have In the Dark Knight from 2008's LEGO Batman the video game. This is also the second to last level of this game, at least for the hero side of the main story, and this is the level focused on the legendary Killer Moth villain as part of the Joker's storyline. Killer Moth is causing chaos in the streets of Gotham, so Batman and Robin hop out of the Batwing to pursue him. I'm a big fan of these levels where you're just on the streets of Gotham. There's no fancy setting or backdrop or anything, just classic crime fighting in Gotham City, and that's what this level brings. So yeah, there's quite a bit of combat against Joker's henchmen here on the streets. You eventually reach this nightclub, but there's a truck blocking the entrance. This requires you to do some platforming on the nearby buildings to retrieve Batman's demolition suit, and with its detonators, you're able to blow up the truck blocking the path. Now, the inside of this nightclub is pretty iconic for reasons I'll get into here in a bit, but this first part is a pretty large open area with some goons to take down. What I like about this section is that there's a lot of verticality here. You grapple up and walk on zip lines to the platforms above, use Batman's demolition suit to blow up silver LEGO objects, giving you some buildable objects to repair an elevator, which leads into the next area. Now this second section of the nightclub is where it gets iconic. There's a disco ball with this disco floor puzzle that's used in quite a few different LEGO games, where each character stands on the lit up platforms. This will activate the disco party along with this famous track that I think everyone remembers. Take a listen. A giant robot will then appear from out of the floor, which is a bit random, but then you use Robin's technology suit to control it and have it destroy the nearby wall, where you can escape and continue the level. But you may want to take your time here just so you can enjoy the music. But alright, let's get back to business. There's this other section in the streets where you use Batman's demolition suit, along with Robin's magnetic suit to get across obstacles like acid and fire. Once you get past all of that, there's one final stretch with some more goons before reaching the final abandoned building where the Killer Moth boss fight takes place. For whatever reason, this building has a massive light bulb right in the middle, and of course, Killer Moth gets distracted by light, so the goal here is to turn on that bulb. You do this by using Batman and Robin's various suit abilities to turn on these generators, then you can pull on these levers to get the light turned on. This will allow Killer Moth to be damaged. You repeat this again until you drain all 6 of his hearts. I like how in this ending cutscene Robin pulls out the bug spray to threaten him, but that wraps up this level. This is just a really fun level fighting crime in Gotham with an awesome nightclub disco party and ending things off with a Killer Moth boss fight. What more could you want? So for those reasons, I'm dropping this in at the number 4 spot. Number 3 in the ranking is going to be Unwelcome Guest from 2012's Lego Batman 2 DC Superheroes. Alright, so Joker and Lex Luthor have broken into the Batcave, which is pretty crazy, and is up to Batman and Robin to thwart them out. The first section of this level takes place in the main floor of the Batcave, which is also the area that you hang out in while in the open world Gotham. Joker and Luthor will sort of hang out in the middle, so you gotta go around the room using each of Batman's 3 vehicles, the Bat-Bike, the Bat-Wing, and finally the Bat-Boat. You're gonna use a lot of different suits to do it, like Batman's electricity suit, power suit, and even Robin's acrobat suit. But once you use all 3 vehicles against them, this will trigger a cutscene where Joker and Luthor steal a bunch of kryptonite and escape, leaving Batman and Robin stuck in an elevator shaft with no other option than to call Superman. Now, of course, everyone loves playing as Superman in this game. He's got the silver hearts, so he can't take damage. He can fly. He's got laser vision. I just remember feeling like he was the coolest Lego game character ever when this game came out. So anyway, you're going to use Superman as well as Batman and Robin's various abilities to climb up this shaft into the final area of the level, and this area gets completely blown up by Joker's explosive, causing nearly all of the floor to be gone. I do like how you can see the main floor of the Batcave down below as you're walking across these planks. It just kind of gives you some sense of this version of the Batcave's layout. So you got to move carefully across these planks back and forth as you switch suits and get each character to the other side of the room. If I had to say something bad about this level, I will say this section does drag a bit too long in my opinion. There's just quite a bit of backtracking on these planks, especially when you need to go all the way back to get Robin's acrobat suit, as you need to use his hamster ball ability to rotate the dinosaur statue around. Once that statue is in place, you can reach the upper level, use Batman's power suit to blow up the silver Lego objects on the ceiling, and escape with Superman. I think the Batcave is a really cool setting for a level, and seeing the villains break into it like that is pretty crazy, and it reminds me a little of when the Riddler breaks into the Batcave at the end of Batman Forever. But also having Superman come in and save the day is a nice addition as well. So yeah, I would consider this a top tier level from Lego Batman 2, so I'm placing it at the number 3 spot. At number 2, we have Same Bat Time, Same Bat Channel from 2014's Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham. I can't believe I'm placing a level from this game so high on the list, but despite Lego Batman 3's issues, it's hard to deny that this isn't one of the best Lego Batman levels of all time. So this is actually a bonus level found after beating the 15 main story levels, where you get to play as the Adam West and Burt Ward versions of Batman and Robin from the 1960s show. In fact, this level is like they made an original Lego episode of the show, and they even got Adam West himself to narrate it.
Of course, the Batmobile. Luckily, the ever-prepared crime fighters keep spare parts hidden around the Batcave for just such an occasion.
So it begins in a recreation of the 1960s Batcave, where you need to build the classic 1960s Batmobile. What's great about this one is all the attention to detail TT Games put in to make it feel like you're actually in the show. When you punch things, you'll see the text like BAM and POW pop up on the screen, just like in the show. A 1960s version of Alfred is even roaming around the cave. Batman has the ability to blow up silver Lego objects like the power suit, except for the Adam West Batman, he pulls out a bomb over his head, straight out of the 1966 movie. Batman has detective vision just like his sensor suit, but this version of Batman pulls out a magnifying glass. And Burt Ward Robin has abilities too. He can climb up magnetic walls by pulling out these magnet pads on his hands. I'm not sure if that's something from the show or not, but it definitely looks like it could be. So I like how they took different abilities from the regular Lego Batman and Robin characters and kind of adapted their own version to fit the show. But after you mess around the Batcave a bit, you rebuild the classic Batmobile, Adam West says the famous line, and you're off into the second section of the level. So this is an auto-scrolling vehicle section where Batman and Robin are in the Batmobile, and Batgirl is up in the Batcopter chasing the Joker. Eventually, you grapple the back of Joker's vehicle with Robin, and it reveals that this entire section was all part of a movie set. They were just on a conveyor belt the whole time, which is pretty hilarious. This leads into the final section, which takes place in a diner. Here we have 1960s Catwoman make an appearance, along with the Joker, Penguin, and even the Riddler. But once they're all taken care of, the level ends with you repairing the jukebox, where all of the 1960s characters, including Adam West himself, start dancing in the middle of the diner. So in closing, this level is awesome. It captures the spirit of the 1960s Adam West Batman perfectly, and it's great that they managed to get him to narrate it, as he ended up passing away only a few years after this game released, so they really got this out just in time. Every LEGO Batman fan needs to play this level, which is why I'm putting it at number 2 on the list. For the number 1 level, I had to go back to where it all began with You Can Bank on Batman from 2008's LEGO Batman the video game. This is the first level from the very first LEGO Batman game, and it's a great introduction to the character and gameplay. It begins with Batman and Robin springing into action after seeing the bat signal in the sky. Robin gets to be a little goofy here in the opening cutscene, but they still manage to perform an epic superhero pose. And like I said when I was talking about the In the Dark Knight level, I love when it just gives you the classic setup of Batman and Robin fighting crime on the streets of Gotham, and that's what this level is as well. Now, since it is the first level, it also has the duty of teaching the player this game's different mechanics. Stuff like the grapnel gun, batarangs, zip lines, and suit swappers are all introduced here. For example, TT Games strategically placed this enemy out of reach in the distance shooting at you, forcing you to learn how to throw a batarang at him to stop his constant attacks. And speaking of enemies, this level has what has now become the iconic Riddler goon enemy with the green shirt and beanie, and they are now returning with modern visuals in LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. I hope we see a new take on these guys with the sort of mobster style hat in that game too. But anyway, this level introduces the suit swapper mechanic with Batman's demolition suit, allowing the player to blow up silver LEGO objects. Robin also has his technology suit introduced here, where you can control an RC car to hit a few buttons in an otherwise inaccessible room. This leads into the final area, the bank, where the Clayface boss fight takes place. You damage Clayface a couple of times, but he'll quickly retreat into the bank. This is where you use both Batman's demolition suit bombs and his batarangs to get inside and turn on the bank security system, leaving Clayface defeated. Unfortunately, the Riddler and Two-Face escape, but this sets up the rest of this game's levels. So overall, this is a top tier level and the perfect introduction of the LEGO Batman franchise. Sure, the graphics, cutscenes, and gameplay may be a bit simplistic compared to today's standards, but there's something about these older TT LEGO games that just make them ultra replayable, and this game and level are no exception. If you just want to fight crime as Batman and Robin, this is the level to do it. Alright, so that's my ranking for the top 5 greatest or best levels from the LEGO Batman franchise. These are all pretty interchangeable for me to some extent, so I wouldn't put too much weight on the exact ranking. Just know that these 5 levels are all awesome and you should play them. In the comments, let me know if you agree with my list. Are there any levels that you would place in your top 5? And just try to pick levels from each of the games if possible, just to add some variety in there. But that's going to do it. Be sure to like and hype the video if you enjoyed it, dislike it if not, and subscribe for more content like this. And I'll see you guys next time here on Quick Break Games.